Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hi there, welcome back.
So this is from one of our last videos we did, and there's been some great statements and great questions that have been put out there. And so the statement is, in the reincarnation cycle, the Atman, the soul, transverses physical bodies, but the Jiva, quotation marks ego, dies each time. The idea, however, is to be free from that cycle by realizing that you are beyond the body and the mind. So, there is a lot of disagreement if we go even into just pure Hinduism. There's tons of disagreement as to what exactly happens. If you're talking to a Shaivite and then, to somebody that's a Vaishnavite, somebody that is perhaps of Kashmiri Shaivism persuasion, or somebody that follows the Shakti path, and you could go into much more specifics than that. They're going to disagree on some things. So not everybody sees it the same. It's just like when you get into Christianity. There's some that believes that it's all about faith, and all you have to do is believe in the blood of Christ. Then there's others that say, well, you have to have the works, because otherwise where's the change in a person in the first place? And then we could get into the whole fact of, that debate about the blood issue at all, because there's so many other scriptures that are pointing to something totally, totally different. But in this question, just because of our experiences, Cindy and I's, as well as the experiences of other people that we know that have actually died and come back, for one, it's not really the case, is what we found. So it's not like the individual, like say, let's take Mark Jones. Mark Jones passes on. Okay, it's not like Mark Jones is no more. Yes, the oversoul, from which he came from, his higher self. And again, there's disagreement on these labels too as to exactly what they mean. It's not like he rolls all the way back up in the consciousness, that individuated consciousness that was, say, Mark Jones III of Topeka, Kansas, is gone forever. No, from what we've found, they're just basically on the astral realm. For the most part, until they decide to come on back, till they're ready to come on back and do another incarnation.
Right, they're in the astral realm. They usually fall back on the current belief system that they had when they were capable of having a belief system on Earth. Some people might fall into dementia, or might have brain issues right when they die, but no, you roll back to your last belief system and the people you love and know at that point, and you move along with that in the astral. That's what I've seen.
And we have seen people that are literally trapped. We many, I mean countless, that are either unaware that they've passed on, don't know what to do next, just kind of stuck in what we might call a limbo. Maybe perhaps this is where the idea of a purgatory comes from, so to speak. We know from some traditions talking about Sheol, it's a gray place. It's kind of an in-between zone. There does seem to be an in-between zone as well, because we have personally experienced encounters with many beings that they're not doing life reviews. They're not, which is the normal process, is kind of like you pass on, like Cindy was saying, loved ones. I've had several friends, 2 friends that died and spent significant time in that state. And both of them were of the Christian persuasion and felt that they were embraced by Jesus, Yeshua. And, both told you got to go back. But it could be Kuan Yin for somebody that believes in Kuan Yin. Could be Buddha. It could be anything, because consciousness is consciousness, guys. It's, ultimately consciousness is all that there is. Yet, as we were trying to say in some of the other videos, as above, so below. So when 2 parents come together and create a new body, a new vehicle for a soul to come in and operate, it is a separate body from the parents, even though it comes from the parents. It's the same thing with consciousness. We know, we've experienced, say, Lakshmi, for instance, who is the consort of, the wife, what have you, of Vishnu. Now, Lakshmi's had incarnations as Radhe and Sita, while Vishnu had incarnations as Krishna and Rama. All those beings exist separately. And yet, ultimately, the big mystery is we're all one. But they are existing still in a separate existence. They didn't roll up into... It's not like there's only Lakshmi and only Vishnu. No, there still is a Krishna. There still is a Rama. There still is a Radhe. There still is a Sita.
All these different aspects of Source aspecting itself and looking at things in a different way. And I think that's why there's so many different views of belief systems, is because people feel strongly called to a certain way of how they think things are, or they think things should be. And that's okay. You're just exploring your perspective.
Exactly, because ultimately, Source is in every single one of its creations. It's exploring creation from every possible different angle, from every emotional perspective. And sometimes, that will be that of the oppressor, and sometime of the oppressed.
That's right.
Exactly. And so it's all about learning. It's all about growth. But I think that's really, when you think about it, it's a very, very freeing thought. And, for instance, like we've explored my parents, my grandparents, my brother. My brother died in 1971. My grandpas both died in 1959. So they've been on the other side a long time. None of them have reincarnated. None of them have taken another body yet. And that's very, interesting, because it's a matter of choice and when you're ready. So, yeah, there is a law of cause and effect and karma, which will kind of funnel us into a certain channel, a certain, part of the program, of the holographic matrix that we live in. Yet at the same time, it's only when that individual consciousness is ready.
Right. And one thing that comes to mind is when we talk about karma is Mother Nature. She might not always seem fair, but one thing she's always just. And that's the way that's what makes this world turn, is the way things are.
And as I've shared many times, like Krishna basically says to Arjuna the night before a battle, the difference between you and I is that I remember my reincarnations. I know all the times I've incarnated. And I've gotten pictures personally of some, and with Cindy's help, been able to get a lot more details filled out. And so, were those incarnations me? Yeah. But then, is this one a little bit different? Of course it's different. But yet we still have that lineage. And, DNA is not just physical. This is, again, something we should think about. DNA is not just physical. It exists on the higher vibrational frequencies as well.
That's really, really important. And when I'm tuning someone, I do something that's called, I work on the ancestral river to help straighten out the DNA from the ancestral line. And that's, right up the middle of the body. And that's something that can be done with tuning forks and distant work.
Yes, most definitely. And as I've shared with you guys before, when I do my standing meditation, there'll always be an elemental being working on the left kidney. And that's because there is an energetic scar there still, which now I know I had visions of it, of being run through from behind. And that was as a Templar, in a life as a Templar. And so it does impact us moving forward. Every lifetime does impact the next. It's a stream of chain of events and sequences. And so it does influence us and impact us moving forward. I shared with you also, I had a lady that had edema that no doctor could explain. They didn't know why. And it was just in her feet and her ankles. And then she did a past life regression, found out she stepped down into the basement when it was flooded, and there was a live wire, and that she electrocuted. And that caused this. That trauma caused physical repercussions in this current life. We were talking to a dear sister yesterday who has a birthmark on the back of her legs, and she was like, I got a feeling this is past life related. And Cindy could see and verified, yeah, this is past life related.
Right. So all it took for her was for her to start talking about it, and that's when I get the information about the past life.
Exactly. And the beauty of it is that all of us are going to be more intuitive. We're going to be able to tap into things like this easier and easier as it progresses. And can you imagine the significance of that? Being able to look back and, wondering, why am I having flashbacks of, wanting to get to cover when I'm out in an open field? Well, you go back and you see that you were transversing the open field in the Civil War, being bombed. Well, that's why, because, a bomb exploded and that was the end of that life. There's reasons for all these things, and they do impact us going forward in life.
Absolutely. And that's what it's all about. It's all about all these different lives and being rolled into the current one that we have now, and then going through evolution, where at some point we will remember all the other past lives and be able to help heal ourselves in our ancestral river.
And time is a byproduct of this particular density. So on some levels, time does not exist. So on some levels, we are all eternally alive, even as, if you want to look at it, these individual egos.
That's right. Yeah.
And that is mind-boggling too. So just some thoughts I wanted to get across with you guys in a quick video. And again, put out your comments. Anything that comes to mind, just put it out there. Any observations, thoughts, questions, and we'll delve deep into it.
Yes, we will.
Thanks for your support on Ko-Fi and Patreon. Make sure you guys are subscribed. As always, guys, God bless and namaste.
Namaste.